What is going on, guys? Brown Superman's Comics. Welcome to that weekly Tuesday night live stream. That's right, Comic News Weekly. Talking about some great topics within comic news, pop culture news, movie news, collectible news. We talk about it all on this live stream. Want to welcome everyone that's coming to the chat. But I also want to welcome the panelists that are here each and every week. Coming up first from that Tales from the Flip Side YouTube channel, we have Brian McClay.
What's up, everybody? Looking forward to some intelligent, fun conversation, as always, on Comic News Weekly.
Well, I can promise fun. I don't know about intelligent, especially when it comes to me, but
don't sell yourself short.
I know, right? From Dank Comics on YouTube, we have Dan. What's going on, buddy?
What up? Good to see everyone.
Yes. And we will get into it in a little bit, but not so much a topic, but I'm also curious about the movie that you saw this weekend without spoilers. But also from Instagram himself and Whatnot Selling, we have Blue Green Artifacts, Mr. Tony. What's up, buddy?
Dan, Brian, good to see you again. It's been a couple of weeks, been busy, but happy to be back. I'm excited to dig into this tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're here. And I hope you ate. I mean, we've had some SpaghettiO nights where you show up in a little bit, but that's always great. And last week,
do I have anything on my shirt?
Yeah, school's back in session. So last week you had stuff with your kids' school, so I know how that goes. But we also want to bring in the producer, the button clicker, Comic Man Andy, with his own YouTube channel. Goodness, always great content on there. But welcome to the stream as well, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be back. I'm actually really excited for this week. A little bit more energy going on, right?
Yes, I want to welcome Drew to the live chat. Yes, Florida State did give a valiant effort. It was a fun game to watch. It restored my fandom, even though they lost. I was excited coming from 18 points down. But I will say that the Giants are up. The Dodgers are down right now. Let's keep that trend going tonight as well. Drew and I've had some epic DMs over the past couple days, flip-flopping in the NL East standings. But either way, we have a great show tonight, guys. Some great topics we're going to get into, huh?
Yeah. Especially, there's a lot of fun stuff going in comics right now, but there's a couple of things around just like, man, why is that going to happen? We'll get into it, though.
Yeah, I mean, starting right off with the first topic, I mean, hate to be a bummer right at the beginning, but Kenneth Williams, that news head across last night, came across social media, came across the headlines. Kenneth Williams, The Wire. I know him as Omar, but he's great in everything he's been in. Chalky White and Boardwalk Empire. Shoot, he was in old school MCU movie. He was in that Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie as well. He was credited as the bystander, but he was in there, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. He's done voiceovers for games. It's been a while. I don't get affected too much by celebrity passings. I think the last one that really affected me was Sean Taylor, of course, being a Washington football team fan, excuse me there. But this one, when I saw the headlines, man, I was bummed. He is great in everything he's been in, and he's so diverse, but he'll always be Omar a little to me. I don't know. I mean, I shared it. As soon as I saw it, I shared it with Mel V, of course, and he was like, no way. And then I just started trickling in. I mean, what are your guys' take? I mean, this is kind of a bummer.
Yeah. I'm not I haven't, you're going to hate me for this, but haven't gotten into The Wire yet. I'm one of the few people that didn't get into The Wire. I respect it because everybody talks about how great it is, but Boardwalk Empire was amazing. I really loved Boardwalk Empire, and he was great in it. He was a great actor. Did they say, by any chance, do we know what happened? Did they say?
Well, one couple media sites said that he was found with drug paraphernalia next to him. I don't know how true that is or not. Yeah, it's just a bummer, and it's more of a bummer that you haven't watched The Wire. That's one thing. Like every 2 years, I pretty much watch season 1 through season 7.
Yeah. Listen, sorry, Tony. I lived that life for a long time, so watching it isn't the funnest part. So, but
you got a young Michael B. Jordan in that, by the way.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's all right. He has had struggles over the years with drugs, so I don't think they've officially announced it, but.
Well, I don't think there's another story that happened this week where a bunch of comedians
in LA.
Yeah, yeah. Basically three dead people, a fourth in critical condition. They thought they were using cocaine, and it was cut with fentanyl. And I'm pretty open about my past and being through it. I've been sober for over 15 years now, and it's easier to talk about. But if I would have been using now, I definitely would be dead. It's really scary how quick you can die with this stuff and how it's cut in every recreational drug there is. You have to be so careful nowadays. And listen, if you still like to partake in this and that, just be careful. Realize how many people are dying because of this fentanyl stuff. And I hope it's not what happened with Michael K. Williams, but to be honest, every day it's like you hear 5 new stories, or you hear about a friend that passed or something. Like this fentanyl stuff is bonkers crazy. Just be careful out there.
Dan, I know you've mentioned Lovecraft Country, right? You've watched that.
Yeah.
He was in there as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and yeah, he was such an important figure. He represented a lot. He also, like, who he was when he played characters was something we were not always used to necessarily. Like, there's like a sensitivity to him, but he also comes from like Brooklyn, and I always loved seeing new faces, new personalities in cinema, because I only think it just makes you really believe the world more. And super tragic. He lived in Williamsburg, I believe this happened. And I never talked to him. But he's, yeah, it's fucking terrible. I was shocked, and it was like 10 in Deadline. It was like 10 minutes after they announced he got a movie deal. Like, it happened 10 minutes after. And I was like, wait, why are they releasing this information while he's dead? That's sort of distasteful. And I was like, oh no, it like literally happened 10 minutes later.
He probably had it scheduled to go out or something.
Yeah. But
wow.
No, the death was like announced 10 minutes after the news story. But I just was shocked at because he was gonna play George Foreman's trainer in a film.
Oh wow.
Yeah. But he had so much more to give. I don't know. And like I also, like, I've met kids with giant scars on their faces, because like and often like they're seen as trouble, or they're seen as the dangerous one when they're just the victim of a face slashing. Yep. So it was just like awesome to see someone that it just happens to have a face slashing but can be so complex and nuanced, and yeah, it's just really something.
Yeah, speaking of face slashes, also the guy from who was in Gladiator and then Sons of Anarchy, the Irish. I mean, he's been in a bunch of other stuff too. I forget his name, but he got the Irish smile, right? Is what they called it, I believe.
Yeah.
El Beardo. Are you a fan of The Wire, Boardwalk Empire? I know you've probably at least recognized him, seen him in something, right?
I definitely recognize him. I definitely recognize those titles. And I'm with Brian. I'm one of the very few people that hasn't indulged in The Wire yet, because I'm waiting for that proper time to sit down and really, really get into and absorb that. And this might be that subtle push to make that happen, to honor that individual, because it's an incredible actor taken way too soon.
Yeah, and I mean, not too many people have watched Hap and Leonard, but if you get a chance to watch Hap and Leonard, I think it was a 3-season show based on novels that was on like Sundance TV, but I'm sure it's available. I think AMC was running it for a while. If you get a chance to watch those, awesome show, definitely worth watching. But Chalky White, and I will always know him as Omar. He's been in a bunch of stuff before then. But Michael Kenneth Williams, when a lot of those rumors were going around, when you had like Tyrese and all these other actors that were championing to be Jon Stewart, I brought up Michael Kenneth Williams because I thought for sure like he would add a different flavor to the Jon Stewart that we know. But
yeah, I do think there's a lot of people out there. I mean, The Wire started, is that like 2007, 2006, 2007, 2008, something like that?
Right.
I
want to say 7.
There's a lot of people out there that probably haven't seen it. There's just so much content right now. It's hard to keep up with the new stuff, let alone go back, and catch up on quote unquote classics. But
2002.
That is,
2002?
it is a really important show though. Like it's groundbreaking. It started the careers of a lot of people. Omar, I mean, he was like the mythical character from
Idris
that show,
Elba,
right?
right? Stringer
Yeah.
Bell. They've been in stuff before then, but I always think of Idris Elba as Stringer Bell. I always think of him as Omar. And then you'll see people that were in The Wire, that were in a bunch of other HBO shows and so forth. But
yeah. But the way it focused on, I mean, it wasn't just a cop show. It wasn't a crime show. It gave even coverage to both sides of it, and showed how the cops aren't always, knight on shining horses or whatever.
yeah,
And
between
the
street side,
criminals
corrupt
aren't always
politician,
evil.
and even each season it's like they capture another part of Baltimore, like how screwed up the press was with the Baltimore Sun.
Yep. They
Those
focus on
writers,
education,
nothing
public
was off
schools.
limits.
Yeah, they focus on the shipyards. They focus on the media. It's a really important show. It is excellent.
And then they had the one guy in the shipyard season, the guy that was like who bought the duck to the bar and got drunk. Then he was a screw up, and then he turns out to be like one of the best characters in another HBO series, in Generation Kill, which is another phenomenal.
Yeah.
Iraq.
Yeah.
Rolling Stone,
Littlefinger.
based on a Rolling Stone article, right?
Littlefinger from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, he's Mayor Carcetti, he's Carcetti, Councilman Carcetti.
Yep.
Spoiler alert, if he becomes mayor. but
Alan Moore
gone
has
too
said-
soon. People are putting in the chat, and if you're watching on replay, let us know in the comments, because like I said, he's been in a bunch of things. He's done voiceover work for video games, and a whole bunch of other things. But to me, Omar Little and Chalky White is what I always know him as, for sure. Boardwalk Empire is another great one. But
there's something to be said to have that stuff live on. It's like his energy and stuff will always be around because they have it on film and that type of shit. That's cool.
Yeah. So Cherokee Meadow's kind of reading the same thing, found with drug paraphernalia next to him. So horrible to read about, and definitely will be missed. But a few weeks ago, we talked about James Tynan ditching DC for Substack, right? El Beardo. But since then, we've seen more and more and more creators, and we got another big time writer going to Substack.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Writer / creative home team, if you will. You want to talk about Substack getting flooded? Well, here comes the old Kate's freight train coming in with literally a title called Flood coming to Substack. And Tynan and a lot of others. And now we get to see what's my favorite part about this is it says right there, it's a conversation with Megan Hutchinson Cates and her husband.
Yeah, we always joked about that for a while. Like,
I read through this
Megan's
article.
husband.
Yeah, I read through about half of this article, and I was still actually reading some more. It's hilariously done exactly like you think the article would be done between Megan and Donnie. It's a really good read. They talk about quite a bit about how the creation of this title Flood, and now, man, I was worried about this Substack game happening because now it's gonna be a slippery rabbit hole, so to speak, for myself. Because now, like, this Flood title is blow drying my skirt, because this is another title that is right up my alley for the style and the artistic style and writing style, and the story that they're going to be doing is exactly what I want to be reading.
And that variant cover they got is by Jock,
and it looks dope, and that just it's striking for me. And I've never heard of KLC Publications or KLC Press.
right?
So maybe you guys can fill me in on that a little bit. But
And
I
I noticed Kenneth's name on there, who's also that's a redneck,
mm-hmm.
right? D. Kenneth.
and it just seems like Substack's gaining more speed. But I think everybody, I'll drop the link in the chat here in just a minute for this article. I think you guys would really enjoy it. I had more fun with the back and forth between Megan and Donnie, really, than anything. And then when they started telling the story about the title, even the music playlist that they created to help inspire them is really cool.
Yeah, and they basically came up with what plot points of driving across the country from Texas to LA, right?
Yep.
So I'll play the uneducated one because I am somebody who knows a little bit more about Substack. I know it kind of came in the news a few weeks ago, but what is it? What is the platform?
Well, it was originally like a newsletter platform, right? And then these comic creators started going towards it to use to publish books.
Yeah, and
yeah,
you don't know if they're going to be putting out just a small amount of books. Did Donnie or Megan say that they're going to be putting out physical copies with this, or?
Yeah, this will be going out physically as well, but the Jock exclusive that's being shown here is only available via Substack. And
what a waste.
I didn't get far enough down the article to find out, but I think you've got to subscribe. It's just like any one of the other, like Tinian or any of the others out there, to be you have to be a subscriber to get the main perks. But yeah, it's like an old school online newsletter, basically, is what Substack is, but it gives them the avenue to do as they see fit with these little news articles. And I'm kind of digging like the Tinian one. I've actually really been digging that one.
I'm still not on the Substack wagon just because I'm a dinosaur and like what I know. And I'm sticking with what I know. And I'm sure eventually I'll kind of dabble over into it if I find something that I'm really interested in. And that's nothing against Donnie Cates, and I'm a huge fan of Megan Hutchison Cates. I mean, she's done awesome exclusive variants, especially for John at the 616 Comics, and even when we were partnering with them, doing some of those variants. But awesome artists, and it's great. And I love seeing them working together in their books. And I love seeing her interior art as well as her covers. And when they put that Jock variant, I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, it's Substack.
So
but that's just my opinion right now.
Before we move on to Brian and other guys really quick here is, choose a subscription plan, $80 a year annual, $8 a month, or the GOAT annual subscription is $300 a year. And you're probably looking at that subscription to get those elite variants or those super limited variants that they're going to release.
You're talking
so
about
it's basically like Patreon, where if you subscribe to an author or a writer,
or
then you get to read everything that they put out. And if you get into their premium levels, you get kind of, swag content.
Yep, that makes sense. But still, are they making you buy that stuff, or do you get it for free because you're already paying?
You can choose the none option, like you're not paying for it. So you still get the newsletter, but you're probably going to be very limited on what you can get as far as exclusive stuff.
Interesting.
Like physical books.
Yeah.
I wonder how many exclusives they'll print for the first set of books that they put out.
That's a good point.
Because isn't the Tynan stuff supposed to have a physical set of copies to?
Yeah, I think that Andy, didn't you subscribe for the physical book or something like that?
So this is the slippery slope that I was worried about. I knew everything Tynan does, I want to read, so I felt like, okay, I'll indulge in this one subscription, right? It was $250 for Tynan's Elite 12-month subscription service, but he also annotated on there that there's going to be 6 exclusive releases that only those founder tier members are going to be able to get. And it's the only way to get it is through that Substack subscription. And the rumor mill on the street is the first book is going to be announced here soon in the next week or two. And we think it might be something is killing the children related. So there's a lot of buzz and excitement around that. But also just recently in his newsletter that he released, he renamed that founders tier group the Tiny Onion Club. And everybody's going to be getting membership cards for exclusives that you can only get at conventions, and you can only get them with that card.
Oh, that's some Valiant stuff right there with their gold bracelet.
But if every one of my favorite writers or artists comes out and does this on Substack, I'm going to be looking at $2,000 a year for everybody's stuff.
Yeah.
FOMO the clown don't mess around.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a serious That's a serious thing. I mean, I can see why the creators would want to do that. It's basically like, it's like having your own streaming service, you know, for publishing.
It took like the J.
there are
Scott
fans of
Campbell
Donny
model and
Cates.
plussed it by 1,000, right?
If Donny Cates gets 50,000 subscribers at $8 a month, what, he's set, right?
Yeah.
But it's weird because
How do you see this? Do you see this changing the landscape, especially when it comes to like indie comics and small publishers? Do you think it's gonna be hard for them to? I mean, I look at this. It might sound bad to say, but yeah, they a lot of them get great talent. But I love seeing that homegrown talent that the indie comic publishers create. Like before, the Donny Cates was, oh, that's Donny Cates, and you know some of these other indie publishers that, or indie writers, indie creators, indie artists that grew up, that came up in that small print, and then have grown themselves to the level that they're at. I look at it as the farm system, right? It's like, I don't want to say minor leagues because comics is comics, but I like seeing them come up through that indie imprint and establish themselves. And I am not against them doing this because they deserve exactly what, you know, hey, if they can make their buck doing it this way, I'm all about it. It's just me personally, from a comic reader perspective or buying my comics, I'm not at that moment ready to go the Substack route.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily Substack and Substack only. I think this is going to benefit us as readers and collectors wholeheartedly more than most people think about it, because not every creator is going to be able to go over to Substack and be successful. You're going to look at Tinian, Lemire, Cates, and Donnie as well. That they have to have a pre-established following for this to work for them and for them to succeed very well. And we're also talking artists and creators that have resources for this outlet. They have more stories and they have more titles that they want to get out and get down and flesh out to see where they go than publishers can keep up with right now. So I think this is going to be more beneficial in that route for the fan base and for the readers and the collectors, because they're going to get to see more and read more that these people want to create, where there's limitations within even the indie publishers or the big two or big three. And what this is really good too is it gives them the avenue for all that extra stuff that they want to really get out and flesh out. And then it also creates some market space or market room for a lot of the scrappy fighters that really want to get up and get in there, that have something good to deliver too, that we might not have been able to see before.
And it's great also because it gets them to subscribe, and when they're doing that, they're subscribing to that newsletter, which is easy for these creators to share that information, which we're going to get a little bit more into in a later topic in the show. But I don't know, Dan, what are your thoughts? Are you
So I totally disagree with a lot of these points. I think
that's why we got you on here.
Yeah, I think that article was, I didn't like it at all. I thought it was really self-indulgent. It was trying to be cute. I didn't find it cute at all. It reminded me of the Natalie Portman and Jonathan Safran 4 article in the New York Times where they interview each other, and it's so schmaltzy and trying to be cute and self-indulgent and right? Like I don't know. I'm sure millions, a lot of people agree with me on this.
It's star-crossed lovers, man. Talking about
it's so cheesy. It's okay, I get it. Whatever. Anyway, also Substack.
Babe,
I don't think they're thinking about the readers much at all. I mean, I think these creators got paid massive advances to create this content, and they're trying to get people, but what are we talking about? What if our 10 favorite creators went on Substack? We're going to pay $100 a month to maybe get comics, because there's no guarantees about the frequency or how much content. And no other digital platform is like this, where you're paying this kind of money for, I don't know. It's like they're going for it, but I don't think it has. I think it's there's deep flaws in the whole system. I think they should have banded together and then created a subscription, and then everyone can read all of their content for that subscription fee. Then you get multitudes more people subscribing, 10 times more people subscribing, and they would all make more money. But I don't think this is their decision even. I think this is this company thinking that they can do the same model that they use with writers and essayists that create these personal connections with their readers, with the combo creators, and then take us as a result. I think they're totally they don't know what they're doing. I don't think they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's not
think,
clear. It's not transparent. We don't know what the F is going on. Like, it's so vague. That's why, like, we have a hard time explaining to Tony what the F Substack is, because we don't really know.
for me, and I don't have a great understanding of it, but it sounds like it has potential. I think the big price point, I mean, they've been doing that on Kickstarter for years. There are authors and artists who you've never heard of who are getting pledges of $500, $1,000, $2,000, you know, those premium levels where they'll write you into a page of the comic or something like that, or you get some gold embossed thing. If people are willing to pay that for just some unknown, you know, creator, I think they're going to easily have enough people sign up, just like Andy signed up, you know, for the founding one with Tinian. I mean, they'll go through it pretty quickly. It'll just be interesting to see what this evolves into. Maybe, like you said, maybe this is the farm system. If Flood gets a lot of good feedback and some critical praise, maybe it does jump to a publisher so that it gets more, you know, they know that this isn't going to reach a huge audience. I mean, it's a very niche crowd that would be subscribing to these. But if that's the best way to get stories out there and generate the heat to jump over to Image or Boom or someplace, and then maybe get a sweet deal in doing so, you know, if there's a little bit of a bidding war to sign Flood, you know, Boom wants it, Aftershock wants it. It just creates a better situation for the creators. I don't know. It seems like a fluid thing, like you're saying. It's hard to.
I think this is a key point of where some of that success is going to be depending on the very market that some of these creators hate, and that's that speculator market. So if you have this Flood, you have this Jock variant that's limited to 250 copies for the physical copy. That physical copy goes out, and next thing you know, it would say it's selling $500 or however comics are going crazy nowadays. Now people are going to be aware of it, and then you know how they are after the fact, right? Where they flood that Substack, and then they get pissed off because now there's 1,000 copies of a variant because now there's 1,000 members. But meanwhile, those creators are like happy to see the money come in. So it's like evil versus evil, right? I mean, you hear a lot of these creators talk about not liking the, you know, I won't say hate the speculator market, but they're like, I don't understand it. This is crazy. But then they're going to feed, I think they're going to feed that Substack if those variants are rare as they are, if they come out rare and then they hit the market, and it's going to drive a speculator to that to get those rare copies.
I can definitely appreciate Dank's comments, and I like the comparison Tony drew to Kickstarter. I feel like this is almost like video game beta testing or beta testers, where this is an elite service or an elite tier that you can be a part of, where you're kind of playing a beta testing role for some of the releases that they're doing. And they'd be crazy not to take these books that pop off and do really well and take them and either send them over to Boom or sell them that way, or find a way to publish them. Because I remember correctly, the plan is a lot of the titles that hit Substack are going to be going to print, so you can buy physical copies still. But Dank makes some great points, and I'll counter a couple of his points with I just have faith in Tinian, and I was willing to jump out and take that leap of faith to see what happens there. But I am drawing the line there. Everybody else that comes up on Substack, I'm going to wait and see what happens.
I heard that the books are going to be print on demand. I'm just kidding.
Ooh.
I'm kidding.
Oh, seriously?
Substack is a Silicon Valley project with venture capital money, and they paid these people gigantic advances they're going to recoup. I don't think this is like for us. This is to exploit us. And like, I think that's more what's going to happen than it's like for us. And they're going to pretend it's not, and they're already doing it. They're already doing it. They're already doing it. It's like another topic we're going to talk about today, which I totally found that to be super disingenuous. And there's, in my opinion, it smells more like selling out than for the community or whatever. But I'm all for digital comics, but there's just too much. This smells. It doesn't smell right. Like,
yeah, and I always say is like, It's your collection, or if it's your reading hobby, it's your collection. If this is something that you're interested in doing, by all means, do it. If it's something you're not interested in and you're trying to chase a trend or chase a fad, I mean, just be careful, right? Because you never know how it's gonna. But if like Andy, like you said, if you're a fan of Tynan and you want more exposure and you're happy to support that creator, that's what I think that's great. But I think Dan provides a great point also. I mean,
they already got the money.
There's always a point behind why they're doing something, and if you're willing to support it, that's great. Even if you don't quite know what it is.
I think Tynan was the only one to actually show the value for what the subscription was asking for. And when you tally up that 6 exclusive covers and divide it by what you paid into it, it was like $45, $46, $47 for an exclusive cover. That made it worth it. At the end of the 12 months, I may end up agreeing with Dank and then just not resubscribing. So there's always that avenue too.
Yeah. I think honestly, after listening to you guys, Andy, I think you are right that it is kind of like a beta test. And Dan, I think you're right. It isn't necessarily, it might not be for the readers. I think the subscribers are going to be kind of like a focus group to test these stories. As we all are, especially in speculation world, we know very well that these independent comics, these creator-owned comics, it's not about selling 50 issues or something. It's about creating some heat, getting an option from Netflix or Amazon or some 6-7 figure deal, and getting it on screen. And this is a way to do that, and avoid the problems that come with it. Might be a quicker and easier way to do that, to storyboard these ideas that they want to sell.
Yeah. And Drew brought up a good point. I mean, it's a great way to grow your email marketing list with a great carrot there. But moving on to the next one, we talked about Scarlett Johansson on here a couple weeks ago, but Dan, there's some more news that's kind of carried over from that Disney ScarJo, right? I mean, with the Russo brothers.
Yes, according to the Wall Street Journal and sources they found, and according to the CBR article, the Russo brothers were in negotiations to make another Marvel film after they've made four that were very successful for Marvel, the most successful for Marvel, really. And because of how badly this Scarlett Johansson deal went, with Bob Chapek taking most of the blame for what's going on, they have gotten into a stalemate, and negotiations are stalled, and they're not going to go back until later, at a later date. Because promises were made and they seem to have been broken, and and also it's speculation is they know her, it's personal, and like they're rich, they don't need to be like, and we got to stand up for things, so because Hollywood fucks people over like this all day long, but ultimately you need a rich person to finally take a stand in a litigious culture to like stop it, so I think, and now like other people are like getting behind her, and but Russo brothers. Yeah.
I read the article, and maybe I got the wrong take on it, but it sounded like what they were. It sounded to me like it was almost less of them standing up for her, as opposed to being aware.
Oh, what are you doing with our money?
Yeah, when they're signing their own contract. And I think that was inevitable after this happened. Whoever the next person was up to sign an extension was going to be really freaking careful about how that was done, the exact wording of how the releases are going to happen, what kind of payment is associated with the Disney Plus release versus the on-screen release. It sounded like this was linked to their own extension contract.
Well,
somehow.
once somebody starts messing with money, everybody perks up and goes, like your ears kind of like, you get that little spidey sense. But then when you realize that could start messing with your money, that's a big deal, right? So I think that no matter what, there's a huge change coming because of all this, and people's money is being messed with, and whether you like it or not, you agree with it or not, once money starts getting involved and people start not getting the money they were promised or feel like they weren't getting the money they were promised, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, I see both sides of it, right? Especially if they're like, well, hold on, we're going to do a movie, but we don't know how it's going to be distributed. Is it going to be the same way? You know, where's our bottom line going to fall? But I also see Disney, like how they've done from the beginning with MCU movies. No doubt Russo Brothers have directed some of the best Marvel movies. I mean, mine still is favorite Guardians of the Galaxy, which was Gunn, but Disney has also done a great job of going out and finding, I won't say no name directors, but directors you wouldn't think would fit that genre and add their flair to it. I mean, Russo Brothers before, right? I mean, if you're like, man, they're going to direct Avengers or Civil War, right? Or and how great they did with it. But Disney is notorious for going out, finding directors, giving them a title, and letting them do, for the most part, their creative different. I think Edgar Wright left Ant-Man, right?
Which was a bummer.
But
I mean, I love Edgar Wright.
Huge bummer, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, I mean, Disney could also be like, there's plenty of fish in the sea, but at the same time, I also understand Russo Brothers' point where they're like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to distribute it? But then I think another answer came this weekend with Shang Chi, right? Yep. They got a 44-day theater-only distribution deal going on, and it's already doing what we kind of talked about. It's doing great in the theater.
84 million, and I think that's triple the last Labor Day release, if I remember correctly.
96% score on Rotten Tomatoes from the audience or something like that. I haven't heard
anyone say anything bad about this movie.
And it's like double what they estimated.
No spoilers, by the way.
There's not much to spoil in it, brother. It's a good movie, even if it gets spoiled. Trust me.
2-week moratorium, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think this does kind of it doesn't prove Scarlett right, but you can argue what you want about the quality of this movie versus Black Widow, but nowadays movies are graded on their box office, right? The amount of clout you have coming out of a movie as an actor or as a director is directly linked to how much money your last movie made. So right now, Scarlett is coming off of a bomb, and Simu Liu is coming off of a blockbuster just because of how Disney released it.
Yeah, Drew. Yeah, I was gonna say Drew just brought up an awesome point.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Yeah, should just be involved in just about anything they're doing right now. He's that type of person. Yeah.
I think they actually pulled him off of the Akira film and put him on Ragnarok, and that was because Akira was going to get delayed because he was supposed to do that. That's what I was really excited for. Going off on the left field here.
I think he's still attached. It's just delayed. No, I mean, what? He's not attached? Is that?
I could be remembering.
I don't know.
It's been.
I read that he's still loosely attached. It's not officially broken.
Not to mention he was badass as Korg, right?
Yes.
Especially in when they're playing video games together.
Yeah, that was so good, man.
He's doing it again.
Him and Deadpool.
You guys watch What We Do in the Shadows?
You see that?
Yeah, him and Deadpool. That was great. Yeah, they have a new one coming out, right? Or a new series coming out for that. What We Do in the Shadows. There's a new
new season.
Yeah, new season coming or something like that. Movie, something. They just announced it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, those in the chat know people have been chiming in. What do you think? I mean, I kind of see the director side, right, where it's like, hey, we want to sign on, but we want to know how this movie is going to be distributed before we do it or not, right?
Well, yeah, I want to know if everybody watching and everybody in the chat is in the same boat as I am, and you guys can help explain this to me. I'm still just not quite following this entirely. So a potential new Marvel movie was soured because of the way Disney handled this ScarJo situation, is my understanding correct? In a very, very small nutshell.
Yeah, Russos were in talks to direct another movie.
Do we know potentially what that movie could have been yet, or is that just speculation at this point?
They've always said they wanted to do a Secret Wars movie.
Yeah. I was gonna create Rumorville and be like it was a Shuri standalone movie, but
Yeah, with Silver Surfer black.
I mean, I get it. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago with the
a Mephisto movie.
direct to the home. I still haven't watched it because I don't want to pay $30 on Disney Plus. It's cheaper to go to the theater. It was cheaper to go to the theater and see Black Widow than it was to watch it in my own home. That's kind of ass chapping for me. Like I love the movie theater experience, but if you want me to pay for it and watch it in my own home, you got to give me a little bump. You got to give me a little bump to make it worth my time and worth my effort to do it at home. Granted, I'm a lazy a-hole and I want to sit at home, but $30, it was $25 to go see it at my theater.
I do think loyalty is related to this because when it comes to like negotiating a contract and a deal, it's like, here's the lawyers. Okay, this is the deal. You know, it's like it can be done. It's not like why would it stall unless there's some unusual point of contention, and what are they not budging on? You know, it's like it's very strange. Like because you can always work out a deal. I mean,
Right?
and
Yeah,
I think
especially
the
when
choice.
there's that money involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you move a 0 or a 1 around or something like that. It's still more money than most of us will ever see in our lifetimes.
Maybe.
Dank's got more hope than I do. All right.
So
I
I understand after the ScarJo thing happened, Feige came out himself and said that he was not happy with that, right?
Yeah.
So
He was very
here's a
cryptic.
question. How long until Feige runs Disney?
That's gonna be a while. But
Well, really,
I think Feige was
he
also
went
being
from-
diplomatic. He's like, can't piss off the stars too much. I got more in the roster.
Yeah, well, he went from controlling, being the driving force in Marvel to running Marvel, like the whole thing, comics, TV, everything. But still, he's not at the point where he doesn't have the control over the purse strings. And the only way to get that is to, granted as whatever president or CEO, he might have to step back from the production side of things, which is what he loves to do. But I think it's inevitable. I think at some point in time, he's going to step back from the production and just run Disney.
Do you have someone in mind who you would like to see be? Feige moves up. Who's the next Feige for Marvel?
Gunn, Waititi, like.
Yeah.
Who knows? Could be a person we've never heard of out there. Another Feige in the wind,
I mean, yeah, the Russo brothers, they came from Community, like that's where they came from, directing episodes of Community. Like, yeah, it could be anybody.
Yeah,
True.
And who's Bob Chapek? I mean, he did run the amusement parks.
If Black Panther 2 blows up, Coogler is going to be one of the biggest names in Hollywood.
It's
Could
fun.
be.
I mean, I like being the outsider in my little humble middle class, and then reading these like, oh, there's internal strife between Bob Iger and Chapek and how the transition is gone, and I'm like, ooh, you get them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, ooh,
that with
new
Star
episode
Wars.
of Doug's on the Pixar shorts on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I'm the same way with Star Wars, man. I'm like, all the rumors like Kathleen Kennedy is on her way out. I'm like, yes.
Well,
Favreau
do you
to take
think
over.
Kathleen Kennedy is happy that Feige is involved in Star Wars now
Yep.
as a side topic?
I mean, maybe they get
And
along. Maybe
Waititi's
they
got
really
a
like
Star
each
Wars
other.
movie, right?
Yep.
They're probably sitting having coffee, laughing at all of the articles and all of the speculate. I don't know.
But
It's
it
a
seems
big-
there's
Go ahead, Dave.
it seems there's like more reports about like Chapek and how he's handled this, like just in the worst way. And
Yeah.
it's like even though Hollywood is like cutthroat and all that, like people do like sometimes stick up for each other, and from what we've heard like of how Chapek has interacted with Scarlet's peoples and stuff, it's been kind of very demeaning, apparently, allegedly.
Yeah, if you're a dick, you should be treated like a dickhead. You know what I mean? At some point, like even money, when it comes to money, you're like, I don't want to work with that guy. Like that guy, so and so is my friend. He treated my friend bad, or he keeps his dog outside all day. I don't want to work with that guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like at some point you have things that you say to yourself, like, that guy's not a good person. I don't want to work with him.
I think that's in our zeitgeist now. I think that's now part of our culture. Like, hey, it's actually
Good.
not cool that you're a dick.
Yeah.
We don't accept it. Fuck, F you. So,
Yeah,
it's
but
part
cancel
of the
you.
Well, not
Yeah.
just that, just like,
Not
you're a
that.
dick. No, I don't care how much money you make, like, because I don't want to sit with you 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, even though you're making me extra millions because you're a dick. I'm sick of it. I don't.
Well, that's been something that's been in movies for eons and decades. You hear of so-and-so people not wanting to work with Harrison Ford, I think, was one I remember reading not too long ago, or other
Shia
people.
LaBeouf.
Yeah, and whether or not it's because they're a-holes or they're dicks, I've heard of some actors not wanting to work together simply because they disagreed on things, and they're free to do that.
I will tell you, that new Shia LaBeouf movie. What's it called? Like Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah.
Awesome movie, by the way.
He's great, man. I think he's great when he's in movies. He's great when he makes movies. That movie he did about himself was great when he directed. I think he's a little
Loose cannon on the set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A lot of those people are, man, especially them method actors.
Yeah, and that dude grew up like the worst crazy actor life as a kid, like
Even
you could
Stevens.
imagine. Yeah. Hanging out at the comedy club all day, at the comedy store all day,
Remember when HBO had that Project Greenlight with the Battle of Shaker Heights, and they got him, and
Yeah. Battle Shaker Heights was great.
I mean, he's being
He
sued
could
right now.
clean himself up and come to the MCU like Downey did.
He's being sued by FK Twigs for.
DT brought up a good point too. I've heard that as
gun
well.
on her. He pulls guns on women and stuff.
Yeah, he's
like,
a nut.
And she's rich, so she's doing the lawsuit. So like we can't just.
Yeah.
It's that's why we need powerful people sometimes to fight, because no one listens to people that don't have power.
Yeah, Brie Larson's another one. Nobody likes to work with Brie Larson.
Thanks, Cherokee. Wasn't Shang Chi 80 million on one day?
It was a hit, yeah.
And that's Black Widow 3-day was 80 million, but Shang Chi did 80 plus in one day. I think it was.
Can I say there was one of the comments, I think it was Bruno a couple comments ago, asked why Shang-Chi did better than Black Widow. And I think there's a lot of business decisions. COVID has a lot to do with things, but is some of the fault with that? Does some of it lie with Feige and the writers? And how do you
I think the marketing for Shang-Chi was way less than what I saw for Black Widow. I think
I would agree with that.
You kind of knew what you were getting from Black Widow.
To tell this story after they've killed her it doesn't make a lot of sense. It could be the best movie out there, but you dramatically killed her in the last big blockbuster you had. And it's hard to get people excited about the character again,
Can you remember
it propels the current CU story forward, especially with, whether they're doing Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers with the extra credit scene. But like you said, okay, we're introducing a new Black Widow, but you all know she dies. But
can you
never know what the multiverse can provide.
Yeah. Can you remember a movie that has been pushed back multiple times that was successful?
Yeah, New Mutants.
Say Rogue One.
New Mutants wasn't successful.
Rogue
One.
It was Rogue One.
Yeah, it was a hit.
Rogue One. Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, Shang-Chi got bumped back 3 times. I mean, I don't know.
But
how many times was Rogue One bumped?
I don't know, but the thing is, this is like historic. There's no precedent. This is completely an anomaly. Yeah. This is like an.
And now you just saw Venom got pushed back up because of Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a surge. Like Shang-Chi came out during a new Delta
and
surge,
a holiday
right?
weekend.
Yeah, and Black Widow did not happen it was like when we were thinking like, oh, we're gonna get over this. Then they did the dual release. So those are such different circumstances.
Good point.
Yep. Great point.
But like I said, what the multiverse will provide, but I'm pretty sure if Black Widow comes back, it's not going to be Scarlett Johansson. I think that severed.
But going back to the power struggle at Disney, if Feige was truly in charge, would this Black Widow movie have come out 4 years ago?
Ooh, good point, or good thought.
And would it come out directly to theaters without HBO Max? I mean, Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Would it come if Feige? I think
He
if
wanted
they
it
got,
4 years ago.
If they got rid of Chapek, replaced him, hired Scarlett for another film, brought her back, that would do just as well. I think everyone would actually go watch that too.
I think Feige's enjoying it because he's in that backup quarterback role right now. Where you got just enough to get all the act. Like everyone loves the backup quarterback when QB1 sucking.
Yep, people are just waiting.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And then how I think a lot of people are going to gauge this release and go, oh, we can be successful with just a theatrical release. I don't see Warner Brothers doing. I think they're sticking to their HBO Max dual release, but we'll see. I know Warner Brothers did sign an exclusive AMC deal in like 2022 for a 40-day window, just like that as well.
I don't know about. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying HBO Max. They promised like consumers that 2021 would be a dual release, like, and that was part of like a $60 buy-in for like a 6-month pack or like whatever it was. But and if they didn't do it, there could easily be a class action lawsuit against them because they're just like they promised so much.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know about you guys. I didn't get to see Shang Chi this weekend, but I did take the mini-me to his first movie ever, and we saw Paw Patrol, and I have not seen that movie theater that packed. Not for Paw Patrol, but for Shang-Chi. Like, doors open, 5 minutes later, there's 40 people in line.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I felt hopeful, more so than I have in a long time. Yeah. And people were there for that movie experience, and I was overjoyed. And the only gripe I had is my movie theater. Did Shang-Chi not get recorded in 3D? Like, where's all the 3D IMAX love? I mean, that's like
3D sucks. No one watches that shit.
I know. I go for it every time, man. I'm pining for that. And it's like I haven't seen any 3D IMAX releases in my area. Is that something my movie theater is doing?
Do you go to Best Buy looking for a 3D TV still too?
Those don't exist, but in the movie theater, see.
I swear I saw in the credits. I swear I saw like a whole section for the 3D rendering. I don't know. Maybe that was not for a 3D release, but I thought of that as well because we didn't have any 3D releases in our area.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. It's not just my movie theater. It's that they decided not to go that route with these last several releases.
I mean, do we want to wear glasses given to us by the public that are recycled and given back to us? Like,
well, the I don't know, all the 3 IMAX 3D movies that I've been to, all of the glasses were hermetically sealed. They're like from the factory, sealed, open, and then when you're done with them, they go in a disposal unit to be recycled, like shipped out and recycled. So the sanitary side of things I felt was covered from the glasses point, but I can definitely understand and share in that thought process that you have.
If you saw it during COVID, then
Milky Way saw it in IMAX, and I agree. IMAX, I was watching it in IMAX, but I stopped watching in 3D. Like I think after the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, it makes my head hurt.
But I know earlier in the show talking about Substack, talking about newsletters, but the last topic we're going to talk about is McClay. We got creators leaving Twitter too, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of weird. I think it's another play on some of the Substack stuff. I hate to say it because I feel like they're just leaving because they're trying to say that Twitter and the whole like it's a negative experience and it kills their creative vibe and all that type of stuff. So Mark Miller and James Tynan, Gary Duggan, all those guys are getting rid of Twitter.
And I think it's ironic because the same people that are saying that are the people that kind of contribute to that toxicity.
Exactly. Listen, Twitter is just, I feel like people like, do you have to tell everybody that you're quitting Twitter? Why don't you just quit? Like, why do you got to tell everybody? Like that's the other thing. Like, yeah, okay, you're getting off of Twitter because you feel like it rules your day, and you have everybody knows you're up in your business, and it's so negative.
That's like the people that post on Facebook, if you could still see this, congrats, you survived my friend cutoffs.
Yeah, like it's so stupid. Just if you're gonna leave Twitter, just leave Twitter. You don't got to tell the freaking world about it. I don't know. I again, like it's another feeling about Substack and stuff. Like I think Tynan basically says he's like, yeah, I went on this trip and it made me realize, I was out in the wilderness or whatever, and I was off Twitter for so long.
I left my phone.
Yeah, and then next thing I know, because of that, a week later, I write something is killing the children. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Why do you got to tell everybody about it? Like, I don't know, but again, I get it. Like Twitter has a very negative vibe.
For a great VH1 documentary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, behind the art,
behind the words,
behind the Substack.
I can kind of relate to what Tinian was saying, though. I appreciated what he shared in his article. I read that the other day. And it's like, okay, I can get that. I can understand that, because I feel myself searching for that same clarity a lot of times too. And I feel like I do need to drop Facebook and a lot of these other things. I'm not going to go shouting over the rooftop.
That's just people needing that dopamine fix so they can go, well, what are they saying about me now?
Right. Like, but I get it. And I can kind of understand, like, I'm with you, Brian, about not shouting over the mountaintops about it. But the way he stated it in his article and how it led him to find sensory deprivation and floating, I'm like, God, that's something I really kind of appreciated him sharing that, because it's like, well, maybe I should try that too, to get to some level of disconnection that I need in my own life to find some more balance.
Take mushrooms.
Wish I could.
You can.
Yeah,
again,
ayahuasca.
Yeah. Like, I get it. And don't get me wrong, I'm a huge proponent of float tanks. I'm a huge proponent of any type of meditation that there is. But it's just these guys are like, I don't know if they really feel like they're so much more important that they got to tell everybody this stuff, or they're fooling themselves, right? Like, well, I feel like half the times that's happening too. They're fooling themselves.
Well, we got to remember, Tinian's a writer, so it's natural for him to write and share stories.
Exactly. I get it. But
I get what you're saying too.
I expect him to go on vacation into like Colorado somewhere in the snow, and then, what if he gets in a car accident and then like his number one fan rescues him from that car accident, and then
Fargo 2.0
or Misery.
That's what I was trying to think of.
Close enough. The part of that story that stuck with me, because I have a kid who loves Roblox. He talked about, I don't know if it was Tinian or somebody else, but he was yelling at his kid basically to get off of Roblox because he's wasting his time. And while he's doing that, he's on his phone bitching at somebody about some stupid shit on Twitter. And I get that completely, because I've been in exactly the same situation. You guys have been playing the video games too long, and I'm checking my whatever. Who knows what the hell? So I get that feeling. I've never been a Twitter guy. Are you guys active, or
I was?
Or do you follow things, or do you post yourself or tweet yourself?
I was.
I'm on there, but I do it more for sports, especially with college football picking up and stuff like that. I at one time was on there for a bunch of comic creators, but they're not lying, man. Twitter's toxic, especially with the cancer culture stuff and all that. It's like people are quick to cancel on Twitter now, and I want to say spread rumors, but it's just almost like it's fucking high school.
Yeah.
I
do like it for sports stuff that I can't keep up with, especially when there's college football game going on. I like to follow a couple of, like, when I'm watching Florida State, I follow a couple Sports Nation people that post like inside baseball terminology. It's cool to watch of, hey, so-and-so was open in the flat, but he threw it over here. That would have missed it. I like reading stuff like that, but I have a Twitter account. I post links to the videos and stuff on there, but I don't follow too much on Twitter, because they also brought up a good point, man, that your Twitter feed goes so quick that it's just like, if you're following people, man, it goes by real quick in there.
Yeah.
I
guess as somebody who doesn't use Twitter, in my opinion, if Twitter didn't exist tomorrow, I think we'd be okay. you know, if I don't know, it doesn't seem very positive at all.
I want to see how they always adapt, right? And we're seeing that video is becoming a big thing. You've seen Instagram that say, "Hey, we're more than just a picture platform," and they're going to reels and more video stuff. I'm anxious to see how Twitter starts making that shift as well, because everyone wants to compete with TikTok and YouTube now.
And they all announce this shit at the same time, right? Like, so, like,
Yes.
to me, like, we've all known the social dilemma, right? You know, so, like, I also deleted all my social media a long time ago before, like, Cambridge and all that shit, because I found out casino specialists worked with companies to make it as addictive as possible. So I was like, oh, fuck you. You're pretending like it's for me, but you're lying. But why are they doing it? Like, for them to do it in a trendy way, to me, is like virtue signaling, and it's so Twitter-like to virtue signal about when we all know this is an issue, and like a lot of people are doing. It's like, who asked them to tell us why? I don't know. It just felt too like, why are they doing it all at once? It felt like a trend virtue signaling, the way trendy virtue signaling happens, and I'm just like, okay, what? I don't like. I didn't tell people. I didn't announce it. People didn't know I quit it all. You know, like, because other people are doing it. You know, I'm not gonna, like, you know, shit on people that do it, even though I quit or whatever. But it's weird. It's like you're on the other side and you can just, like, I don't know. It's just so weird. It's fishy to me too, and it feels like Substack again, like a little bit of Substack going on. He's like rationalizing Substack and why. Sorry to be so negative. I feel like this is the most negative.
There's a great
What's
there's
up,
an author,
Dan?
Simon Sinek, right? I don't know if you guys have heard of Simon Sinek, who writes a bunch of business and type books, and he was on a YouTube video. I mean, the video was mostly talking about the millennials, just because that's, be honest, the last social networking is higher with millennials, of course, the older groups on Facebook. But he talks about in that video about what you're talking about, the dopamine hit, and how you're going to bed and you got the phone next to you on the bed, and then you're like, I gotta check again, and you keep looking at it because you want that dopamine hit. You want that, oh, see what people are talking about, makes me feel good, and keep going back to it. And like you said, all these social media platforms, they're geared towards that, so you get that feel good feeling.
I must be broken. None of these apps and none of these platforms have ever given me any sort of dopamine or feeling good. It's always dread or tired of seeing somebody complaining about this. One ray of sunshine from this, though, is the dad jokes section of Twitter. The daily dad jokes every day. It's epic.
He's like, that's a good one. I'm writing that one down. He's got like a quarterback armband, like play calls, but it's dad jokes. I can see you walking up to guys at work looking at it. Hey, Roger, what do you?
You have a video camera watching me. That's exact. I'm not gonna lie. I do browse some areas on the interwebs for probably 3 to 5 dad jokes a day, and just see what one hits for the day, and then I carry that for a week as I see people in and out of the week. You know, why not?
You millennials.
I mean, each their own. It's always. I mean,
but that's all I've ever used Twitter for. I created an account thinking that was going to be fun cross-platform stuff with IG and Facebook and with the comic community. But when you dip your toe into Twitter, comic book related, you're like, oh, wait a second.
You know, and these guys, these famous people, their experience of Twitter is so vastly different than our own. So for them to, like, pseudo lecture us about what it is like really preposterous to me, because it's very different for people that are not super famous and everyone gives them 10,000 likes for a comment, you know, like, so that is also, like, just rubs me the wrong way.
Makes sense. Of course, people are like, whatever, you crybabies.
Yep.
But Dan, you said you've canceled all social media, huh?
I did, and then
you're on Instagram, right?
Well, yeah, I started that just to communicate through the YouTube channel. But, you know, I can already sense it, you know. I mean, I've tried, like, things that are addictive and then shut them off, but I also like to learn what that feeling is and then shut it off or whatever. But
yeah, and shout out to Markham, because that's why we love you on this stream, Dan, because you always bring different point of view that we all
Refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not negative when it's an opinion necessarily. So I know you feel like you're being negative, but I would disagree with that.
Some difference of opinion is great rather than just everyone going along to get along.
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to get along. No, I mean, like,
We know what you mean, but yeah,
I would say this shit right to him, like Tynan, if he was like my friend and he showed me this essay he wrote, because I actually have essayist friends that wrote crazy shit about people, and I was like, hey, I don't know if you should write this, like, because they don't see they forget that they're fucking famous celebrities, so it's like you're trying to be like super relatable, but your experience of these social media platforms is so different than ours.
they Jerry Maguire themselves.
I don't know. It's just so weird. And then why are they doing it all at once? Like, I don't. What's going on? This doesn't smell right. Something doesn't smell right.
Yeah, DT brings up a good point. I did watch some of that documentary about social apps.
Yeah, that shit's scary.
But it's all gonna be contact lenses, and the interface will be augmented. So, like, this idea of this is already a thing of the past. By the way, if you think about it.
Whatever happened to Google Glasses, by the way? Google people wearing Google Glasses.
You look like a douchebag. They couldn't get rid of the like how you look like a douchebag factor.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be contact lenses. They already exist.
Yeah.
And then like interacting with YouTubers will be like they're in your room talking to you.
Dan, let me ask you this. You need to create a social media app, and venture capitalist is going to invest in whatever you come up with. What do you see being the next like social media need that might be a trend coming up?
I would call it the AOK app. And it would give you like homework assignments about how you have to help a stranger you barely know or people on the network you barely know that need help. So you help them with like resume writing, cover letter writing, helping people move, all kinds of shit, and you get nothing back in return. Like you're not even supposed to interact with them anymore. That way, you help others without transactionalism to promote the concept that maybe we're all one, and we shouldn't all be like fucking expecting something for everything all the time, because that's how like we've been brainwashed to believe like that's what everything is for, and maybe that's not how everything is for. Maybe we've been told that's how it is, and maybe that's a fucking lie. So that's what the AOK app would be. And then
Dude, that's dope.
And then they would and then I would make the app shit on corporations, and it would make them money. They would give me money, more money, to keep shitting on them because making them money, and they're gonna just like smile, shit rain all over them while I shit on them. And that's how you get capitalism to shit on itself.
I think that's a really dope idea though for an app where if you have that emotional availability and that time availability, like I just feel I should do something good for somebody today.
Yeah, you compartmentalize your skill sets, and then you have a person, and then they disappear from the feed. Like the idea is like you really have to not continue the engagement because it has to be non-transactional. I don't know how you make money off of this, but
Well,
Advertising.
there
Like
are people,
Facebook, man.
there are people out there that aren't interested in just making money that are millionaires. And wait a minute, no, shit.
No.
I see a tremendous amount of value in that. Just you guys, people laugh at me for the whole dad jokes thing. I got big into the dad jokes thing because I needed something at work to break ice with people and to remind people not to get compartmentalized and just to break free and think about something else for a minute, even if it's somebody walking up to them and being a doofus for 30 seconds and them rolling their eyes at me. You know what I mean? I needed something like that in the workplace, and the dad joke situation fit that. But an AOK app like that is actually a really killer idea.
it's because like when you start doing that a lot, it teaches you like crazy, and you resonate something because you stop believing in a world where everything is for something. You start to not believe that world anymore. You start to believe in a world of abundance, and like you get rid of that scarcity mindset, and people can sense that off of you, and that will increase your opportunities and people's like likelihood to want to work with you because you. And I'm not talking about like energy aura. I'm talking about like just psychology, right? People can sense it. Your body language changes when you know it's not all transactional, and it will change you and everyone around you, blah blah blah.
So yeah, some great topics tonight. But like we always do, tomorrow is New Comic Book Day. So we're going to go around the panel and give your pick. We say one pick, but often there might be a couple. But Brian McClay, do we need to come back to you, or do you have a pick for
No? Well, I'm gonna steal your pick. Dave Wilkins all day, every day. Just grab all the Dave Wilkins covers. Trust me, you'll love them.
That was actually my runner-up pick for tonight, but I have a feeling Alberto Jefe might name my pick, which is all good because it's good. We can have the same pick.
There was another good one too that I like just because I'm not a fan of like homage covers. Like they're really bad and this and that, but there's certain ones that I still like to buy. And this Rick and Morty one, Trover Saves the Universe #2, and it's the X-Men 141 homage. Yep. And I love the X-Men 141 homages, and plus it's Rick and Morty, so
you could fill a long box with 141 homages, right?
Yeah,
right.
So this is the other one, Rick and Morty. Gotta love them. That's it.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely, of course, Master Universe fan Dave Wilkins. I'm definitely picking that up.
Amen.
Go with it, Alberto.
Okay. I'm gonna go with something.
No, you can pick it if you want.
No, because I think this is a sleeper one that I'm pretty excited for. Tomorrow, coming out from Jeff Lemire, and Jeff Lemire himself is Maze Book #1, and I am actually really excited about this.
Two Dark Horse books.
Yeah, I've always told myself that if it's got Jeff Lemire's name on it, I have to at least give it the time of day and check it out. I read the premise for this story. I liked it. I pre-ordered it in previews months ago, and I forgot all about it until we pulled this up tonight. And I'm excited it's coming out tomorrow. And I believe they're also doing a hardcover too. Oh no, this is a 48-page, $5.99. So this is a 5-issue miniseries though. But I'm excited for this. There are several others I'd like to talk about more after you guys get your shots in.
What about you, Dan?
Yeah, my pick was also Maze Book.
Awesome.
Yeah, I just think like that story, it's so intriguing, and knowing Jeff Lemire, I think he can make it so complex and nuanced and beautiful, and a puzzle and all that stuff, and maybe Eve. Like, let's hope they stick the landing, right? Because Eve, that's the final issue, and I'm always looking, stick the landing, so I can share the trade with people, you know. So I hope Eve 5 is also good. I hope they stick the landing.
Tony, was that your pick?
Eve? No. My pick was actually one that nobody's ever heard of. It's called Maze Book.
Awesome. Well,
honestly,
I've said it before. I like Jeff Lemire's writing. I'm not a big fan of Jeff Lemire's art. It's like some Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends type stuff to me.
Yeah.
But I do love his writing, and his Green Arrow run's still one of my favorites.
You know, we talked earlier about independent, creator-owned stuff, and going straight to, you know, the streaming services or hitting a screen. I have to confess that if there is a great comic, that's one of the first things I think about. God, I want to see this interpreted on screen. I want to see a great director, a great cast, a great. Not that I don't appreciate the original art form. Like, I know Andy and I have talked about this with Saga. I love Saga, but I want to see it on screen at some point in my lifetime. I really want to. So with this, with Maze Book, as I'm reading it, it just comes across like as a movie. It comes across as a great film or a great series. So in a case like that, reading the comic is like getting a glimpse into the storyboards of this this great art that's going to come up down the road. So yeah, no, I'm really excited about it. Spec wise, I'll throw one in since I repeated one of your picks. The what is it called? The The Me You Love in the Dark.
Yep.
The Scotty Young. I'm not a huge fan of the ratio incentives for late printings, but they do have a 1 in 25, I think, for the third print. I am going to try to pick one of those up. I think Scotty Young is gaining a lot of clout in the industry with Strange Academy and this and all of his art and his stories, Middle West. So I'm excited for that series too.
And this is going to be ironic because we have you don't hear people talk about Dark Horse books that much, but all of us tonight are talking Dark Horse, and I'm going to try this without messing this up, but yeah, I'm not doing that. But and Drew just mentioned it, but Last Flight Out.
Well, you hesitated. I was landing that comment at the same time you were clicking, and it didn't work.
Last Flight Out, Mark Guggenheim, interviewed him on the channel. And like I said, during that interview, was able to read the first 3 issues digitally. Absolutely great story. Mark Guggenheim, like I said, during that interview, he's basically created the Arrowverse, Legends of Tomorrow. He's writing for that Green Lantern HBO Max show that's coming up. Known for Hollywood type stuff. Not saying this is, but he's written a bunch of comic books too, and he's written video games storylines. But Last Flight Out from Dark Horse Comics. Andy brought it up to me at the beginning of the show. I didn't realize a lot of places are sold out online already because I just thought it was a great book. And to me, Dark Horse, you don't hear people talk about Dark Horse that much besides what Lady Killer, I think, was one of the last ones we talked about. But awesome story. We got an apocalyptic thing, or it's going to end. You got to get on this plane because they're flying you out to space. It's kind of like Wall-E on steroids with a little bit of aliens in there because, you got a SAR team, search and rescue team that's just badass, and they run into some resistance, but definitely worth picking up.
I actually want to poke on this a little bit as far as we talk about, one book that we pick, and we went around the horn and did one. I really wanted to talk more about that Last Flight because it was kind of a sleeper pick. I saw it in previews. I should have ordered it. I didn't watch your Guggenheim interview, which I should have watched, and I fell flat on that. And I don't have a copy at my LCS, unfortunately. So what I normally do is I go to the old Google searches and I find random LCSs across the United States where I might be able to buy 1 or 2 copies. This book is way more difficult to find on a Tuesday night than any other book I've had in quite some time.
But you got to caveat that for multiple copies. A lot of them are doing allocations, right?
Are they? I don't know. I haven't.
There's a lot of you can only buy 1 copy if they are selling them.
Yeah, my comic shop said only 1 copy. I found one other random place that said only 1 copy, and I just did what Tony did and say just nut up and go over to eBay and buy 2 copies from one retailer over there, and that's eventually what I ended up doing is just going right to that literally just now because I don't want to miss out on that story.
Yeah, I also want to caveat that too, because I'm not saying, hey, you're going to go to your LCS tomorrow and you won't see a bunch of them on the shelf, because we all know geographic locations is different all the time.
Right.
But what you're saying early is it's not prevalent available. It's not widely available for you to purchase online at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Thanks for adding that. I mean, I could go to my LCS tomorrow and there could be 40 copies or there could be none. So sometimes when that happens and I fail on ordering previews, I would rather go get a couple copies online the night before than risk not getting it at all the next day. Yeah, a little bit of FOMO, but it's that type of story that invigorates me or ignites me really to get into that. And I don't care what the availability of the book is. I just want to make sure I read it.
Yeah, it's a 6-issue miniseries, and like I said, I read half of it for the first 3 digital issues, and it's great. You got like an estranged father-daughter relationship going on in there. Of course, he spent his whole career building this ark that's going to save mankind, and the whole time the daughter basically grew up in nannies, and then there's a little twist to it. So there's some Armageddon type references I picked up on there. Talk about it all. I mean, that Mark Guggenheim video, if you guys have a chance, check it out. It's also available audio version, Simple Man's Comics podcast. But yeah, great interview. Mark Guggenheim is an awesome guy, by the way. Very, very. He's one of the few. He's one of the guys that when you talk to, you expect him to be a little bit more Hollywood. But oh my gosh, talk about humility and super nice guy. I was trying to pull out some Green Lantern HBO Max details, and he wasn't very helpful. Asshole. I'm kidding.
He's
But
like, hell no, you ain't getting those.
yeah.
And they
So,
don't
I
usually
mean-
allocate Dark Horse books, right? That's not.
Yeah. How often do you see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was gonna say if speculators or honestly nowadays retailers who speculate, if they're driving up prices before release, there's no guarantees, but that's usually a good sign that this has got some heat behind it.
Yeah.
I
I
there's
mean,
no other.
DT
there's
in the
no other-
comments also talking about Jeff Lemire, right? And Andrea Sorrentino, I believe, for Primordial. Aren't they the creative team on that?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's the 15th.
Yeah.
That's spoilers. That's gonna be my pick for the 15th because that's blockbuster creative team right there from Gideon Falls and Primordial. That one I did not forget to pre-order.
So, I mean, there's our picks. That's just going to leave us with one more thing.
If only somebody was ready. Good Lord.
One more
Come here.
thing. Gave our picks. We're going to go around one more last time with the panelists. One more thing. What do you guys got going on? McClay, what do you got?
Same old stuff. Check out Tales from the Flipside channel. Make sure to subscribe over there. Lots of fun stuff going on. Also on Whatnot, I got a big Star Wars sale coming up. I'm not exactly sure the date, but it's going to be coming within the next probably 5 days. Massive Star Wars sale, like huge amount of high ratio variants. Old school Marvel books in really high condition, Star Wars figures, Star Wars cards, old Boba Fett cards from the original Empire set. Just a lot of cool Star Wars stuff. We're going to go a super lengthy, probably maybe like 3-4 hours if we can, and just knock out a lot of really cool Star Wars stuff for Star Wars fans on Whatnot under the Tales from the Flipside banner.
Alberto, packing for vacation, but what else?
Dude, one more thing. CGC turn times. My last two CGC submissions were both sub 30 business days. And I'm on Cloud9. So that means my one more thing was a gigantic box of Something is Killing the Children books off to CGC. And I can't wait for those to come back, pressing and cleaning for several weeks or a month or whatever that's going to take. And we'll see if this trend's going to continue. These are all fast tracked again.
Did you send them to CGC to be pressed, or you send them off to a presser?
Private presser and cleaner.
I was going to say goodbye to 27 day turnaround time if you did that.
Yeah, no. CCS, I've used a couple of times, and I know that's like snail trail, definitely snail mail situation. Impressive Comic Book Services and Jimmy the Geek Aficionado are the two that I've been using. I need to send some books to Sean, Big Leg, and there's a couple other presses and cleaners out there. But this next big batch is nothing but Something is Killing the Children. All the number ones that I had, all the number twos that I had, and I think one copy of number 3. So I can't wait to see. We're going for a full graded set. And tune in to Mail Call Mondays on the Comic Man Andy YouTube channel to see how that plays out, because it'll all be blind. It'll all be blind unboxing. So that'll be interesting to say the least.
Dink. Always want to hear what do we got up at Wayne Manor or Mr. Mary Poppins, or I love hearing
Mr.
this.
Poppins. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Mr. Poppins Live, I'm going to start interviewing people. Did I mention that?
That's awesome.
I
So
don't think you
yeah,
mentioned that
Mr.
yet.
Poppins Live is where I do actually life coach or consult with some celebrities or whatever about how to deal with fame and how to focus their purpose. I actually do that. So Mr. Poppins Live is about me kind of teaching all the principles. I teach them as much as I can for free to as many people as I can, and I never want money from anyone for that shit. Anyway, but I'm going to interview people too, like the people that like followed their passions and are tapping into their inner child, stuff like that. So I have a stripper lined up, and actors, musicians, a firefighter, Muay Thai fighter. Did I mention this last week? No,
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember.
I think I
Not
would
in this-
remember stripper.
ASMR art, yeah, a bunch of people, yeah. So she took a poll, and then she started stripping, and she learned so much about herself, and blah 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 blah. It's just really fascinating stories about all kinds of people that are not necessarily comic related, but it's about people that just like go for it.
How's the sad spawn pictures going? You still doing it?
I just love. I'm just like, why did Todd McFarlane draw a sad Spawn? Are you kidding me? So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put that on. I'm gonna have sad Spawn at parties and children's birthday. Like I'm gonna put sad Spawn everywhere. I have him sitting next to Bernie Sanders. Looking.
Yeah. Make sure you're following Dank Comics on Instagram for those.
I just learned Photoshop a month ago, so I've been having a lot of fun with it.
Tony.
That's awesome.
How you
Yes,
doing?
yes.
What you got for us?
I like Brian. I am also and Andy and yourself. I've been selling on Whatnot. I really tried to experiment and do different things on different shows. I did a late night NSFW, Not Safe for Work show with some adult comics. I've tried to do a bunch of different kind of giveaways.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. The standard wheel. We've done like grab bag, where they get a free random comic. I got a Nick from Slabbed Heroes. I got one of his excess boxes and a couple weeks ago, and we kind of did like deal or no deal. You could, if you win a comic, you get to choose left or right, and you just get whatever random book pops up next. I'm trying something else this week. On Friday at 8 p.m. Central, we're going to try to take a cue from some of the sports cards sellers on Whatnot. They have some, as I know a couple of you are big sports card guys, and those packs nowadays are crazy money. We are making packs. We are making blue-green packs.
Ooh.
Of slabs.
Skybound. I saw Skybound's doing that now too.
There are 3 slabs per pack. I've got 12 packs. They are big boy packs. We're probably going to start at like 500.
Oof.
But there are some big boy books in there. There's some first appearance of Null, the 1 in 25. First Moon Girl, first Shang Chi 9.0, which goes for 1,300. The Ultimate Fallout 4, the Mole, that goes for 800-900. So there's some big
crazy.
books.
That foil. I love foil.
So I don't know how this will
for...
go. Maybe 2 will sell, and I'll hold on to the rest of myself. I don't know. I just like to have fun with Whatnot and try different things. And
dude, that sounds
That's awesome.
This Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Giants are up 8-1 against the Rockies. But at the same time, Drew, I know you're still in the chat. Dodgers are up, of course. So, yeah, I was hoping the Dodgers would lose. But either way, yeah. And shout out again, Florida State Seminoles, Hell of a Game, Notre Dame. I do want to say, talking about Drew, if you guys haven't checked out, make sure you guys check out Wanted Comics with a X. We'll put the link in the chat. Check them out. They got some great store exclusives up there. And also other sponsors of the channel, D616 Comics. Also great store exclusives. Patreon boxes, they just get sent out. I'm about to put the reveal video of what went out in those Patreon boxes. And I'm going to do something crazy within there for current Patreon members that are subscribed to that Patreon box. Each one right now gets 4 books, right? And then when the reveal, I'm going to show all the books that have gone in there. So not only will a Patreon member get that 4-book box, but they're also going to have an opportunity to win a copy of every book I received from these 616. So they'll get the Patreon box, and then we'll pick a random winner for next month that will get every single book. And
that's dope.
We're going to go through that. And so I'll talk more about that in that reveal video. That should be up on the channel here in the next day or so. But shout out to Drew at Wanted Comics. Shout out to John Leone at the 616 Comics. And, of course, popculturezone.com. All great members of the community. Love Drew's back and forth about the Dodgers. But with that being said, guys, thank you again for tuning in. If you guys are watching this on the replay, thank you so much. If you're listening to this on the audio version on the podcast, thank you. Awesome community. Love the panelists here. This is Brown Simmons Comics. We'll see you guys in the next video.
Look, they talking like they don't know a king when they see one. See him in person, he take it back like a refund. Ballin' with my brothers, all my playing D1. Daily checking chicken, he gon' spend